Assalamu alaikum. I am Luqman Qaida and this is Shaykhi Academy. This is the second episode of Learn Quran Reading course. The last episode was an introduction to this course, so it is highly recommended to watch it first. Because we are learning Quran reading, we have to ask ourselves important questions like why learning Arabic reading and what is the relationship between Quran and Arabic reading. These are the two main points we will discuss in this episode. These 2 points will lead us to another 2 points, which are what does Quran mean and is learning Arabic reading sufficient to read Quran? We will discuss all these points and we will understand it 100% in this episode, so stay tuned.
Shaykhi Academy.
So we understand in the last episode everything about this cover page, so let's move to the first question in this video. So as we said, the first question in this video will be why learn Arabic reading, or لماذا نتعلم القراءة العربية. So the first question we have, as we said, why learn Arabic reading. Before doing anything, you have to ask yourself why you do this thing. Why is the most important question? Because everything has a reason behind it, and if you don't have a reason, you will not do it. So for example, if I asked you why do we eat, why do we sleep, why do we work, the answers we would get to these questions would be similar. I eat to live, I sleep to rest, I work to support myself and my family. So the question now we have, why learn Arabic reading? So let's read the answer. As a Muslim, one of the most important reasons behind learning Arabic reading is to be able to read Quran. Arabic reading and to be able to read Quran. So reading Quran in itself is an act of worship, and reading it properly without any mistakes has many virtues. So we understand now that we learn Arabic reading to read Quran. This actually leads us to important questions, which are the first question, what does Quran mean? We will understand the linguistic meaning and the Islamic meaning of the word Quran. The second question is, what is the relationship between Quran and Arabic? The third question, however, is learning Arabic reading sufficient to read Quran? So let's discuss these questions. Let's move now to the next page. So what does Quran mean? As we said, we have the linguistic meaning and the Islamic meaning. The linguistic meaning means the meaning of this word before the using of, or before this word used in Islam. So linguistically, this word Quran is derived from the word qara'a, which means to read or to recite. So the Arabic word qara'a, it means to read or to recite, and the word Quran is derived from this word. The Islamic meaning, however, is the Arabic speech of Allah, Kalamullahi Ta'ala, which has revealed to Muhammad, peace be upon him, Kalamullahi Ta'ala al-Munazzal ala nabiyyihi, and is miraculous in its words and meanings. Al-Mu'jizu fi lafdhihi wa ma'nah. Reciting it is an act of worship. Al-Muta'abbadu bi tilawatih, and has reached us by continuous oral and written transmission. Al-Mutawatir, so and has reached us by continuous oral and written transmission. This is called tawatur, and which has been preserved in the Mus'hafs and challenging with its shortest surah. Al-Mutahadda bi aqsari suratin minhum. So what is the relationship between Quran and Arabic? So let's discover now this relationship. So the Quran is the Arabic. This is the first sentence or the first phrase in the definition, in the last definition, in the last Islamic definition or technical definition, the Quran is the Arabic. This word implies that the Quran is in the Arabic language. So this therefore implies that a translation of the Quran into any other language can't be considered the Quran. It's just a translation, but it can't be considered as Quran, like you can recite it as a Quran. This is what we discovered now from this quote. Al-Imam 𝐍𝐚𝐲𝐤𝐡'𝐬 said, know that the Quran has been revealed in the language of the Arabs. Therefore, it's impermissible to recite it in any other language. So you can like just translate to know the meaning, but you can't consider it as Quran, and you can't read this translation as a Quran, and if you did, it's not an act of worship. I hope that this point is clear now, and this is what Al-Imam 𝐍𝐚𝐲𝐤𝐡'𝐬 clarified to us. So there are 11 references in the Quran that in the Arabic language amongst them. Yes, we have references in the Quran proves that the Quran is in Arabic language. So among them, the following verses: وَهَذَا لِسَانٌ عَرَبِيٌّ مُبِينٌ. This, which is the Quran, is in a clear Arabic tongue. إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ قُرْآنًا عَرَبِيًّا. Verily, we have revealed this as an Arabic Quran. And then وَكَذَلِكَ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ قُرْآنًا عَرَبِيًّا. And thus we have inspired you with an Arabic Quran. So since the Quran has described itself as being in Arabic, so any non-Arabic speech can't be the Quran and can't be considered as Quran. Okay, so we have now this question. So now we said that to learn Quran reading, we have to learn Arabic reading first because Quran is written in Arabic. So we have here an important question, which is learning Arabic reading sufficient to read Quran? So let's figure out the answer. Reading Quran correctly requires the knowledge of certain rules. We can divide these rules into two classifications. So to read Quran properly, we need some rules, and these rules we can classify into two rules. So what are these two rules? The first rules are called Arabic reading rules. The second rules are called Tajweed rules. So let's discover now the difference between these two rules. So the Arabic reading rules are the rules that are applied in any Arabic text, whether the Quranic text or another one. So Arabic reading rules are general rules we can apply on an Arabic text or Quran text. So why Quran text? Because Quran text is an Arabic and Quran is written in Arabic. So these rules, these Arabic reading rules, we will apply whether we will apply on any Arabic text, whether this text is like text in any book, in any Arabic book, or this text is Quran. However, Tajweed rules are just applied when we read Quran, not in any Arabic text. So Tajweed rules are just rules when we apply, when we just read Quran. So we can't apply, for example, when we read an Arabic text like an Arabic book, but is not Quran. So Tajweed rules are specified for Quran. So therefore, knowing Tajweed rules demands knowing Arabic reading rules first, as Tajweed rules are based on Arabic reading rules. Okay, so in order to clarify this point further, let's take this example. So we have an Arabic rule that's called Al-Mad. So this rule means that you will lengthen the time of the sound. You will stretch the time of the sound of the letter. So let's take this example. Al-Mad. So we have here in this word Al-Mad bil alif. Let's annotate. Yes, this is the mad letter. This mad letter is called Al-Mad bil alif. This mad comes after the letter mim, which has fatha. So before this mad, there is letter meme. So this means that you will stretch this letter meme. You will like lengthen the time of the sound of this letter. So we'll say ma, and instead of saying just ma, no, you will stretch the time of the sound. So we'll say ma. Okay, this is what does al-mad mean. This rule is a general rule, which means it's applied on any Arabic text, whether Quran or any other one. But we have another rule, another tajweed rules that's called al-mad al-muttasil. This one means lengthening the time of the sound of the letter for 4 or 5 counts. Remember, al-mad was for 2 counts, but now al-mad al-muttasil is for 4 or 5 counts. But al-mad al-muttasil, when it's applied in any Arabic text, no, just in the Quran text. So let's take an example. This word, let's annotate again. So we have here this alif, okay? We have here a tajweed rule. So once I said we have here tajweed rules, what does this mean? This means that this rule is just applied when we read Quran. So this is a Quranic word. What does this tajweed rules what does this tajweed rule that's found here says? It says that if you see alif that comes before letter hamza, you have to stretch this alif for 5 or 4 counts. So we will say here in this word ma. Now we will stretch it 4 counts or 5 ma. So because the rule of al-mad al-muttasil. So for example, Allah says وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. So this is a Quranic verse. Because of that, we apply this rule here in this ayah, which is the rule of al-mad al-muttasil. I hope now this point is clear. The relationship between Arabic reading rules and tajweed rules. Arabic reading rules are the rules that applied in any Arabic text, whether Quran or not, but tajweed rules are just applied in the Quran. Okay, so the conclusion here is learning Arabic reading is not sufficient to read Quran properly, but it's the first step, and this is what we aimed at reaching to it. That learning Arabic reading is not sufficient, but is the first step, which means that once you mastered Arabic reading, you have to go and learn tajweed rules to be able to read Quran properly. Without that, you can't read Quran properly. And also, you can move to tajweed rules without learning Arabic reading rules. I hope now that we just clarified this point, the relationship between Arabic rules and tajweed rules, and the importance of learning Arabic reading rules first. So now we came to the end of this episode and we understood the importance of learning Arabic reading. Because of that, we will understand in the next video how to read Arabic. We will understand the general idea of reading Arabic, and I promise you will find it so easy. The idea of learning Arabic reading, or the idea of Arabic reading, is so easy, and you'll find it easier than many other languages. So stay tuned. And if you want to see the next video and next videos in general, so consider subscribing to reach to the next videos. Also, if you want a teacher to follow up with you and practice with you, we can offer you a highly qualified teacher who can help you through online classes. Also, you can follow up through our application, Shaykhi Academy application. So, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. See you in the next video إن شاء الله. السلام عليكم.
Shaykhi Academy. Learn and enjoy.